So it's a recorded podcast we're doing. We're just going to set the thing up. There's a few more people going to join us. We'll only be a few minutes doing that. We do a couple of Agile Coaching Mastery things every week. This one is particularly done to create a podcast. Just to let you know, the reason the podcast is being used is we were sitting down a while ago with some of the crew, and we worked out that actually we couldn't really get a time zone that was going to work for everybody at the same time, and so we decided the best way to do that was to sort of do a session where it's pretty much like any other Clubhouse session, but it's going to be recorded and then we'll publish it as a podcast. And actually, Ricardo may well make it into along with others. So let me just get Ricardo and Razul onto stage. Make moderator.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, Ricardo, how you doing?
Yeah. We don't have hello. Yeah. So we're doing just audio today, right? Not the Zoom bit.
Yeah, but I'm not actually. Why am I not hearing you? I'm not hearing you on the recording, mate. Let me just forgive everyone technical problems. I know why.
Yeah. No, I was dialing the Zoom, but I don't have my Zoom to Clubhouse link working. So today we do just Clubhouse. And
just Clubhouse?
We can
Yeah,
start also with Zoom.
Absolutely fine. Yeah. Absolutely. Raz, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Yeah, good. We're all set then for very exciting for us. It's the very first one. We have a plan, or maybe half a plan. So in the words of friends, it's a plur, which isn't quite a plan, but we're off. So what we're going to do is just say hello, and then we'll just... today won't be a live podcast recording. What I mean by that is we literally won't say, hi, welcome to the podcast. Here's the audio, here's the sound, but we will be doing that from now on. We just want to get it going for a week. So let's get going then. I mean, if you want to bring anyone in on the call, now's the time. I'm just going to play the bounce music for a few minutes. Here's what you do. You hit the plus button. Next to the leave quietly, don't press leave quietly. Please don't press that. We don't want that at all. Is a hands up if you want to come and talk. Also, there's a plus button. If you press the plus button, you get to talk to your friends or invite them to come and join us for this meeting. So that's how you do that. So Agile Coaching Mastery. Today's the very first one. So let's just give it a minute to build the room, and then I thought, lads, what we do, Ricardo, Razul, is just introduce ourselves and who we are and what we do. And we've got some people who are going to be with us for a few of these, I think. Big was with us, but he seems to have disappeared. So we'll see who else joins us in a minute. Just encourage you to hit the plus button. How we're going to work this is we've got a little bit of an overall summary. I'm doing that today, and then I've got a few points, and when we get to those points, I'd be very interested if anyone wants to join us. So let's get rid of the music and we'll get going, if that's okay. We'll just do a quick check. Ricardo, you okay? Raz, you okay?
I'm good.
Raz, are you doing the 2-minute book review? Just check up.
I can do that, but I can pass it to you and Ricardo if you like.
Okay. Ricardo, do you want to do the 2-minute book review near the end? Okay. Raz, okay, we're off then. Let's get going.
Cool.
Well, welcome everyone. This is a brand new venture, an adventure venture actually. It's a podcast. We're recording it live on Clubhouse with some guests. And it's our very first meeting, and the podcast is going to be called Agile Mastery. And we are the Agile Coaching Mastery crew. We're all coaches. Let me explain why we've got the word mastery in there, because, if you're an Agile coach, I guess that word mastery is a bit of a red flag. We don't believe we're masters of anything. We're a continuous learning people kind of thing. But the word mastery in its original form means you just want to get better and better at something. And I think, therefore, that's why we chose the word mastery. So today's is really a little bit about the crew that we put together and who we are and what we do, and also a little bit of where do you get mastery in coaching from? So I'll do a little bit of an overview, and then when we get into some detail, I think I'll suggest to Ricardo and Raz we just sort of introduce ourselves. Bear in mind this is a podcast, so people need to know who we are. So Agile coaching mastery for me, I've got a stool with 3 legs on it, and each of those legs is a theme that we want to develop over coaching mastery. And like any good 3-legged stool, if you've got all good 3 legs working well, it's a very solid object. It works really well. If you've only got 2 of them in place, you'll fall over. If you've only got 1, it's not really a stool. So what are the 3 legs of this stool that are in my mind? Well, one of the legs, if you imagine a Venn diagram, is skills. Another one of those legs is experience. And then the third leg is knowledge and certification put together. So in a sense, I've got those 3 legs to work on. And I think all 3 together produce mastery. Now, the word mastery, Dan Pink talks about that in, what motivates us. And he talks about in the knowledge economy, which we're into, we are motivated to get mastery. And I don't want to be scared of the word mastery. I don't want us to be scared of it. I just think it's the right word to use to imply we want to get better and better. We're a continuously learning organisation. We want to carry on learning, but, we want to get to a mastery point. And if you think of how mastery used to be understood in the sort of old, more physical working environments, for example, clockmakers, there would be an apprentice, and the reason he could be called a master was he created a masterpiece, literally that's where the word comes from, maybe a clock, that showed he'd got all the skills and could now start apprenticing other people. So that's sort of some of the background of where mastery comes from. So that's what we want to talk through, if that's okay. Guys, shall we move into who we are and start with that? Ricardo, do you want to, bear in mind this is a podcast, Ricardo, do you want to introduce yourself for a minute?
Hi, I'm Ricardo. I've been practicing Agile since before the word was coined, and I'm one of the co-founders of the Agile Club, and I'm mostly busy as an enterprise coach who also brings in DevOps practices, especially around observability, and I'm really excited for this podcast and to understand what mastery is, and especially how did the 3 of us get started on our mastery journey?
Oh, that's a great question, mate. You've already thrown me off because I think that's such a great question. That might be what we do today. Anyway, Raz, how about yourself?
Yeah, very wonderful question. Like Ricardo, I'm also doing enterprise coaching, and my focus is mainly leadership and organizational culture. And I'm based in Melbourne and doing project delivery and project management and Agile more than 16 years. But mainly my focus on agility just started 9 years ago. So I just moved that path, and I'm here today. Very excited. This is a very new beginning. And I would love to connect and learn and share what I've learned so far with you guys.
So I'm Ian Banner. I am an enterprise agile coach. I have been doing that for about 10 years. In the last couple of years, I have worked for one of the large petrochem industries. I'm now working for another engineering firm, and I do lots of side gigs as well. And I also do IC Agile certified training for the enterprise level of coaching. So that's, if you know the IC Agile courses, that's the CAT and the ENT course. I do those, can I say in my spare time? I don't know if that's right. I guess the point I want to make is I do those courses, but also I am not I'm not a trainer by trade. I am a coach by trade, and I train those courses and only those courses. It's not like I have 95 courses that I train. I just train those 2. So that's me. And so today's topic is this mastery. And really what we'd like to do is invite anyone who is listening to put their hand up. You next to the leaf quietly, don't press that button. We don't want people to leave. Is to put your hand up. And if you put your hand up, you can come on stage and chat to us and give us your opinion on this subject. Do you think mastery is a good subject for us to discuss? And do you think that's something that's on your mind? I see a few LinkedIn profiles on this as well. So if you're interested, just put your hand up. I see Aina's with us. I think, Aina, you put your hand up, but somehow I don't quite know why you're not on stage. But don't worry about that. If you're interested in joining us and talking, the only thing you do have to accept is it will be part of a podcast. That could be good news for you, or you might decide that means you don't want to take part. So I thought about this three-legged stool: skills, experience, knowledge / certification. That's the three. And it occurs to me that actually mastery comes from having all three. And actually, I'm not sure you could become a mastery. Forgive me, I said that word master. That's wrong. I'm not sure you can get mastery in the subject unless you've got all three. For example, if all you do is just get the certifications, Scrum Master certification, well, you can get that for 2 days of a course and a quick test. Does that really mean you're sort of, at the top of your game? I don't think so. I wonder what the other guys think. And again, just put your hand up if you want to come on stage and chat to us as well. Ricardo, do you think you can get mastery from just one of those three?
No. Any of those three can get you started. That's why I was thinking of maybe reflecting on our own journey to inspire the people here.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of a loop. Although it's a loop around these three things. You get a bit of experience, then you get a bit of training, you get a bit of knowledge, and all those three continuously reinforcing. But if you want to become a master, I think the easiest way to become a master faster or get mastery faster is to also be a bit deliberate about how you get there.
Okay, so you're making the point it doesn't just evolve. You've got to be a bit intentional about getting that level of, you've got to want it. You've got to pursue it as an overall sort of North Star almost. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. If you are trying to become a master of any trade, and I'm not opposed to the word master. We use it all the time in Scrum Master, so you can use it in this context to make otherwise it becomes a very passive conversation to get mastery. If you want to become a master of any trade, you have to be deliberate about actually wanting to master the trade, right? Not just Agile, absolutely any.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I'll ask Raz this in a bit. How did you get into deciding, as it were, this for you, Ricardo?
I probably took a very different journey. So if I look at your three legs of the stool, I came from a lot of experience. And probably for the first 5 or 6 years of my Agile experience, it was all about experience. Because I was practicing Agile, I didn't even know the word existed, but I was running things in short loops. I was doing a lot of the Agile practices until I ran into extreme programming in a bit of a more formal way, because I got named product representative in an area, and then I went to study a little bit. So then I started to study experience, and my formal training started actually much later. So I went that route. Which routes did you go?
Me, a bit the same, really. I sort of, when I sort of started doing the work on agility in the early days, I was really a delivery exec at Telefonica, and I needed to get some understanding, so I managed to convince my company to let me go and spend a week with Jeff Sutherland and learn everything properly, on the basis that we wanted to know what great looked like. So let's go to an expert. So yes, you can pay. So I travelled to see Jeff for a week, travelled around with him, that kind of thing. So I sort of learned a lot from that. But I think what I realised just afterwards was I started recruiting people to do a big transformation at Telefonica. And I went back to Jeff with a problem, and the problem was I was getting a lot of people with just book knowledge, and they didn't seem to be working. They seemed to be quoting the book a bit. And Jeff said, well, this is where my mastery theory comes from. It was a discussion with Jeff. It's not his words, by the way. It's more Steve Forbes, who's head of agility for an engineering company in Europe. XPO is the engineering company. He describes it using these Venn diagram circles. But the idea came from Jeff when he said, well, it's not just the book knowledge. You've got to have scars in your back from experience. And that changed completely how I recruited people. I would describe it now as I started asking experience questions rather than skills or knowledge questions. So I didn't say, tell me what a stand-up is. I started saying, give me an example where a stand-up didn't work and what you did about it, if you see what I mean. So I guess that's my sort of intro into it. I guess I've learnt since that everybody starts with what. It's a bit like a beachhead. Everyone starts with one of them. Maybe you sort of the very first thing you ever do is go on a Scrum Master course. That's the very first thing you find out about Agile. Well, then you're starting on the knowledge certification leg first, aren't you? But you can't just stand on one leg. And anyway, Raz, you haven't given us your story yet. So, Raz, how's it going? And what's your view on this? Where did you start?
I have a similar view, and I think that the three legs, the Venn diagram, is pretty elaborated on agility is not only certification and also not only skills and not only the experience, but the combination of these two, as you nicely mentioned. And one thing I think is can add depth to it is a context, and I think mastery, mainly in Agile or any other profession, comes after you build a library of patterns by getting some scars, getting experience, some certification, doing some work, and building the context in your field. It, in this case, can be Scrum Mastery or agility coaching or enterprise coaching or even leadership coaching or whatever it is. So I think, the context is important, and I think it's something that we need to pay attention to. And it comes with experience. It's closely related to experience. By applying the skills we learned and knowledge we gained into practice and building that context, library of pattern I just mentioned.
Yeah.
And my journey.
Yeah, come on.
Yep.
Tell us your journey, Raz.
Want to add something?
Yeah. I want to make a comment about the word patterns in a bit, but I still want to hear your journey, mate.
Yeah. So, I just came from a project delivery background in telco, and I did actually go to a Scrum course, and prior to that, Agile, it wasn't Agile, named Adaptive Project Management. It was a DSDM course.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so almost 9 years ago, so my company sent me to a course facilitated and delivered by IBM. It was a DSDM. So I just get exposure to what is adaptive agility. And at that time, no one just told me that this is Agile, but they told me that this is adaptive, incremental, and iterative delivery. And I learned about that, and then I took a Scrum Mastery course, and then build up from there, and just get some scars, build some patterns in my library, and then moved on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We already have two kinds of journeys.
Yes.
What yours is the tech one, and my background, Raz. By the way, we hadn't talked about this. My background is also telco, project management, and program management across the piece. That's sort of well, I got into this because I just finished a large exit of staff to a call centre. They're leaving Telefonica and they're going to go and work for another company. And I just finished that, and then the CEO of Telefonica said, "Tell me why Agile doesn't work, Ian." So that's how I got into it originally. Okay, I wonder if anyone who's so this is going to be a podcast, of course, and you've got the three of us, the crew, as it were. But I'd be interested if anyone else wants to come up on stage and comment on this. If you do, you just have to put your hand up on that. I've got a few other things I could talk about, but I'm very interested if others have a comment they want to bring. Maybe the fact it's a podcast might put people off, but hopefully that'll settle down. So if you're interested in just joining us on stage, feel free to say so and come up, and we'll happily hear your thoughts. And you know what? We can all disagree. That's okay. We're professionals as well. I see Michael's come up, and Igor as well. Thank you very much. Let's start with Michael. Michael, good afternoon to Glasgow. I think you're in Glasgow, aren't you?
Yeah, yes, I'm near to Glasgow. Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. How are you guys doing?
Great. And I know you've just left ComputerShare, haven't you, if I remember?
I have, I just have left ComputerShare. I've joined QA as an Agile learning consultant for them. So we're building out some new training and support pieces there. Some around Agile Mastery as well with IG Agile. So
cool.
Interesting times.
Yeah. So what do you think of this topic? Are you broadly aligning with us, or have you got a different view?
No, absolutely. I absolutely align with you. I think there's one thing that separates mastery from the actual just going through the motions of doing it, though. And to me, it sounds like a bad word, but for me, it's kind of like the obsession with it as well. You really want to do something with it, and you have that drive to do it as well. And I think that's what drives you to that mastery level of it as well, rather than just a participant, somebody who's practicing it. If you really want to go to that mastery level, you've got to be, again, probably not the right word, but obsessed.
Okay, I like the
yourself.
idea, though, even if the word obsessed might be too strong a word. I might have used the word devoted. You've got to be devoted to the agenda, haven't you, I think? You've got to want to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
And how was your journey, Michael?
Yeah,
On
where
which
did you
side of
start?
those three did you start?
So I started in a bit of a funny one, actually. I started probably, if we were looking like as a Venn diagram on this, I was probably in the sort of two areas of it. But I started coming from a company at the time who was very much paper-based, but realised quickly due to some governmental changes to their business model that they needed to go digital very fast and suddenly change their whole operation, otherwise they would have gone under. So they needed to digitise fast and discover quickly what their customers would buy instead of the thing they were selling before. For those of you who think that sounds a bit dodgy, it was in the annuities business, and in the UK, it became. It was previously the requirement that you really did buy an annuity with your retirement fund.
Yeah.
But then that really got quashed, and you could do whatever you like, and you found people were just taking all of their retirement money out and spending it and then not really having much to do. So yeah, they had to quickly iterate. So they brought some people in who were like, you need to do this Agile thing. But they quickly then brought in a consultancy who said, here's your step-by-step, go do this and you'll be successful. Which probably some of us will know that can sometimes work and sometimes not work. But yeah, not going to name names. But yeah, so it was a bit of, I really need to understand this a lot better if I'm going to survive and help us survive past what I can see as this piece here. So it was a bit of a need and a requirement, and then general interest, and that kicked off my journey. And I've been in the Agile space for around about 7-8 years now, and moving on through various roles, doing the roles, which again, coming to your experience leg of your stool, has been essential. And it's one of the things we teach, really, isn't it, through coaching and everything else, is the empiricism of going and doing and learning and failing.
Yep.
So, yeah, practicing what we preach.
Spot on. You know, how do you know you're good? You measure yourself. You try it out. You learn. You know,
you do it wrong.
You do it wrong a lot. Yes, that's quite right. There's a lovely, there's a LinkedIn thing I saw yesterday, and I think it was Lisa Martin. If it isn't Lisa, please forgive me. It was a pile of bricks with the words success and failure on in different colours, and essentially the wall was made up of bricks of success and failure. And
I've seen the same thing, and I loved it.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things that you kind of want to incorporate into your coaching as well. Like, your foundations should be your failures, and they build you towards your success.
Yeah.
And you can have a mix. You can, and again, I think it leads people to think, so failure should be at the bottom, success at the top. It's like, no, just all throughout, you should never stop failing, which is something I've just said there, but it sounds quite profound.
Well, yeah, I think it is absolutely true. I mean, I think why failure is so important in how we think is simply this. I've said this before elsewhere. A lot of the old techniques for management were designed on the principle you're going to be successful. The more modern techniques work on the principle you're going to fail, so find the failure quickly and then put it right. Scrum, if done correctly, this is from Ken Schwaber's book, in the preface, Scrum, if done correctly, will expose every impediment to progress ruthlessly. You will either allow those impediments to be exposed, or you will adjust Scrum to hide them and you'll fail. So you're making the right point, Michael. So it's lovely to see you, Michael. Want to give Igor a bit of time. Is it Igor? Have I got that right, Igor? I think we've talked before. I just want to make sure I've got your name pronunciation right. Welcome along. Hi, Igor, are you there?
Yeah, here. I'm here. Yeah, sure. Igor, it's the right version. Yeah.
What do you think of...
I'm okay.
What do you think of this?
Should I ask any questions?
Yeah. What do you think of this subject? Do you want to ask any questions, Igor? Fire away.
Okay.
Or we can ask you a question, which is, how did your journey start?
Are you there, Igor? We're not hearing you. Just check your... Are you with us, sir? Are you with us?
Yeah. Just give me 5-10 minutes, and I'll be back and ask question, because at the moment
Okay, that's
I
fine.
should have a short call.
Yeah, no problems, Igor. If we're still here later, we'll bring you back in. Just when you come back, I suggest you just ask to come back on stage if that's okay. So, I'm thinking of the fact. I think. Can I put it like this? The best experiences are the failures. Again, I'm thinking of when I interview people. I think you learn a lot more from failures than you do from successes, because sometimes you're not sure why something was successful. But it's your point, Raz, you said about patterns that I wanted to go back to at some point, which is, I wanted to talk about what patterns were and how we should think about them. But would you agree, I think, that, the best experiences are the failures that make you learn? Is that a fair thing to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell me
like
about...
Edison said, it's not, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 things that don't work.
Edison, yes. A true genius.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we're near the end, because we promised ourselves 30 minutes, because we could talk longer, but the podcast format, we don't want to overdo podcast, time, and I think this kind of length is about the right time for the podcast. It is our very first one. I think we'll do more on it later, if that's okay. So, Guru has just joined us on stage. Guru, do you want to come off mic and say hello, maybe ask a question or give us a comment? Hello, sir.
Hey guys, hi, how are you doing?
Good, nice to see you, sir.
Good.
Thank you, thanks a lot. So the purpose that I wanted to be in the stage is to ask a question. So I'm working with Cognizant in India, and I've been promoted to a team lead position. So I'll be leading products right now for the legacy. And I'm currently pursuing my CSM from Scrum Alliance, and I just attended another podcast. I'm not sure who's attended, but I attended a podcast where the guy was an Agile coach, and the way he was speaking and the way they were telling, the way they were motivating us just to be on the audience, and I was like so motivated. So I wanted to pursue this particular tag to be an Agile coach. So I just wanted to know what goes into one's journey into becoming an Agile coach.
Oh, okay. Ricardo, do you want to answer that for a few minutes? Or?
Yeah, I have a segue of how I became a coach. It started with a failure.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was delivering. I used to be a turnaround artist. So they called in, this project is bleeding money, etc. And I saw one corner of the project where this Agile thing could really work, but I was busy with the other 100 people. So I hired an Agile coach. And this Agile coach, he had a lot of book knowledge, but he didn't have this empathy that was needed to understand where the people were and how to take them to the next step. But because I didn't want it to fail, I actually dove deeply into how to do the job. So I started with Lisa Atkins' book. Then I started to see, okay, there's a lot of knowledge here, but let me understand exactly where this team is. And how do I make them more agile, one step at a time? And that's what started me on my journey. So I already knew a lot about Agile from Scrum Mastery and all of that, but it was the understanding that it's not about telling people what to do, but in helping them take the steps in the journey. That's what made me transition from a more operational role in Agile to a coaching role in Agile. Would you want to add something, Ian or Raul?
Yeah, I'll make a quick point. Agile coaching is not the same thing as being a subject matter who tells people what to do. The hero of, if you're a coach, the best coach you'll find, in my opinion, is Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda, if you think of the Star Wars stories. Their job is to make Luke Skywalker the hero. Their job is not to be the hero. And so the job of a coach is to have experience, but to help someone get to a certain level themselves. So I remember when I was starting my work with Telefonica in this, someone said to me on an all-hands call, there were 500 people on it, and they said, so Ian, are you going to be our expert then? And I had the good insight to realise that if I became the expert, and only I became the expert, it had failed badly. And therefore I thought, actually, I've got to get loads of other people to be experts, haven't I? How do I do that?
Yeah.
I went to see Jeff. I said, Jeff, how do I get lots of people to be good at this? Not just me, you know. I'm not looking to be the head of a big pyramid. I'm looking to be one of many who can do this really well. And honestly, Guru, that's how I got into coaching, from that principle of I've got to get everyone else going. And, it is a different skill. Ricardo mentioned Lisa Atkins' book. That is the defining book. If you do any IC Agile certifications on coaching, that's the root cause of, or the root syllabus for that book. That's a great book, Lisa Atkins. But you could also just read up some stuff on coaching in general. It doesn't have to be about Agile coaching. You can read up on how to be a coach. I tell you what we'll do, probably in some show notes, I might mention some other books. Raz, what do you think?
Yeah, pretty same. So I think what I can draw from yours and Ricardo's point is just enabling others to succeed. And I think that's a really key thing to pay attention to. So you're not making things successful. You're enabling everyone, bringing everyone, giving everyone opportunity to unlock their intrinsic potentials, do something, give people voice. And make things help people to make things transparent and uncover more unknown things. So that's a job of agile coach or a change maker in an organization. So and in terms of book, I think the best book to read in the beginning is the Agile Coaching by Lisa Atkins, and I think the other one really resonated with me when I became a coach, and I know that I'm coaching. That was like yours, just when I was coaching just one team, and all of a sudden everyone saw that we had a very good performance in our team. I was a Scrum Master in that team. And they realized, okay, we want to do Scrum as well. So, and all of a sudden I find myself in a position that I can't just cover everything with all the teams, because team to team things are different. And I need to develop new skills, and I need to connect with people in a different way. Different team, different people have different requests, different way of thinking, way of working. And that time I realized that, just my mentor told me, you need to do more coaching. You need to learn more about this. And I think a role of a mentor can significantly help you to move from point A to point B.
Okay, that's really useful. So we're near the end of the time for the podcast. I'm going to finish with a story. I think that's the right thing to do on this one. We've sort of said all three stool, a three-legged stool. Skills, experience, knowledge, certification is what mastery comes from. But thanks to the questions from, particularly from Guru, we've got into what is a bit more of a coaching role. So I'm going to finish with a story, if that's okay. And here's the story. I don't know if you've heard of a guy, Tom Landry. Tom Landry is an American football coach. So there's a lot of illustrations in sport to do with coaching that are very useful. But Tom Landry used to be the coach for Dallas Cowboys in American football. You don't have to know American football to understand this story. How the American football system works is it's owned actually by one company, and therefore they rotate the talent pool that comes into American football every year. So if you finished lowest in the league at the end of the year, you get the first pick of the new talent each year. What that means is no matter what team you support, over 10 or 15 years, they all get to be good. It's not like in England we have a couple of teams that are really good in our football, or soccer as we'd call it here, and they tend to dominate and it's very difficult to break in. In American football, I don't know, New England Patriots in the 80s were terrible. New England Patriots now are probably the top team. Green Bay Packers have just won 2 Super Bowls, so it rotates. That's the point. Now, Tom Landry has a record. He has a record of the most, this is an American phrase, the most winningest coach in NFL history. What that means is his teams won more games than any other team over a 30-year period. So what does that tell us? It tells us he's a really fantastic coach because he knows how to get the best out of everybody. Because the talent pool evens out. It isn't just him finding good people. Sometimes he has good people. Sometimes he doesn't have quite as good people in the draft picks. So here's the story. Tom Landry. The first day when all the new people come into the Dallas Cowboys training room, they've just been recruited in. They've just been chosen in the selection. He sits them all down and he says this. I remember this from his book. He says, "I'm the coach. My job is to get you to do all the things you don't want to do in order you might become the people you want to become. I make no apologies for that. And it's always stayed with me that, that focus, that understanding, that devotion, I think, as Michael said, obsession with, wanting to be great and getting the best out of everyone. I guess that's what coaching is. We're over time. We're going to try and keep to time in future. That's my error, not anyone else's. I just wonder if the rest of the crew have any final points as we finish.
It could never go up from there, Ian. It's a fantastic quote from a fantastic man.
Okay, thank you. Tom Landry is brilliant. Wonderful man. I'm putting the end music on. Raz, anything from you?
All good. Thank you, everyone.
All good. Okay, so this has been Agile Coaching Mastery with the Agile Coaching Mastery crew. I'm Ian Banner. My colleagues, and we'll do it differently each time, is Ricardo and Razul. You can find us on agileclub.club. So good, it's got the word club twice. If you look in there, you'll find our Agile Coaching Mastery, and you can find out a bit more about us and what we do. If you're interested in certification, connect with me. We do courses all the time. I'm starting one next week. That's it for this week, I think. We're done. Thank you for joining us here. Thanks for the questions, Guru and Mike. Thank you if you're watching this or listening to this on a podcast. More episodes will come. If you want to get in touch with us in any way, agileclub.club will be the place to go.
Yep. We have a dedicated topic shows for Agile Mastery in the Agile Club.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. We're back recording again next Friday. This podcast will go out tomorrow morning. If you search in any of the podcast platforms for the words Agile Coaching Mastery or Ian Banner or Ricardo, I'm not going to say your name right. Why don't I let you say it, Ricardo?
Well, I could say it in Portuguese, Ricardo.
Ricardo Liberato. And Razul, I'm not going to get your surname right either, Raz. Forgive me.
Yeah, it's really in a rhyme with Kanban. It's a Bachwan.
Bachwan. Razul Bachwan. So if you look us up in the search engines, because the meta tags will work, you'll find us. Just look up Agile Coaching Mastery, and you'll know it's us because you'll see pictures of white men sort of smiling at you from the icons and everything. I guess that's it for the time being. Thank you very much for today. We do another Coaching Mastery Monday evenings at 6 p.m. UK time, which picks up a lot of America, so watch out for that. But that's not a podcast. It's just our usual program. I think we're done. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
It was great being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.